Whenever we watch a DUI video, a traffic stop escalates into a DUI investigation. But one thing we have to remember is that these officers are trained to detect people under the influence of alcohol. But there's some key indicators and things that they look out for when they are conducting a traffic stop that can make it or lead into a DUI investigation, right?
Right. So, I mean, in legal terms, I guess it's what a prosecutor, a judge, or a defense attorney would call indicia of impairment, indicators of impairment. So, these officers, similar to their drug sniffing dogs, get some training on what to look for when they pull somebody over. So, we're just going to go over through some common, I guess, indicia or indicators of impairment that an officer's trained to look for a DUI stop. So one of the most common ones that we hear are you have bloodshot, glassy eyes.
Odor of alcohol, either coming from the person, the breath, or in the car.
Right. Then they talk about maybe you were slurring your speech. That's a very common one.
Confusion. They don't know where they're coming from, where they're headed to, which city they're in, or where their license or insurance is. They're fumbling through their wallets to find it.
Right. They'll point out in their police report that it took them a long time to locate their registration, their insurance card. So it is always helpful to know where your license and registration is. Another thing that they'll look for, and they have this on it's called an alcohol and drug evaluation or influence report, is different departments call it different things. They'll look for like belching, burping, those type of things can indicate impairment.
Also, anything you do, if you're too cocky, if you're too happy, if you're talkative, if you are sad, if you're crying, mood swings. So like even if you are a very jolly person with a lot of energy, that can be an indication that you're under the influence of alcohol or other drugs.
Right.
Yeah.
They'll watch the way that you exit your vehicle.
Oh, yeah.
They'll say, did you use the sort of that bar? I forgot what they called it. There's a term for it, but the bar in between your driver's seat and your rear passenger seat, that column. Do they use that column for support when they were getting out of the car? They'll look at your clothes. It's like a bad first date. They'll look at
Yeah, I know. If your buttons or your zipper is unzipped, even if it's an accident, that's something they can hold against you. If you're disheveled, even if it's
if your belt's undone, which I do because I get full from my food. So I don't know what you're supposed to do, you know. Pretty much everything that you can do, they can turn in to an indicator of impairment.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think the most common ones that I see are definitely, hey, your eyes look bloodshot and glassy. Hey, there's an odor of alcohol coming from either your person or your mouth, which I don't know why they make that distinction, but they do.
Right.
And we have ways to get around that. We do. Defense attorneys, there's some just very common, very traditional questions that we'll ask the officers to sort of explain away a lot of these indicia of impairment.
Right. But one thing I do want to mention are the two very objective factors that the court cannot double check. And those include the red, bloodshot, glassy eyes and the odor of alcohol. Some officers I've seen are very truthful, so they say that the odor was mild or that it was like very faint.
Right.
And that's something that no one can double check, no one can verify, right? As a defense attorney, I just have to rely on the officer's word and then ask my client how much did they really have to drink at what time. And also the blood, red shot, glassy eyes, no matter how clear the video is, it's very objective. So they can always say, like, in person, when I was observing their eyes, they were red, they were glassy, even though most of the officers, they put a flashlight in their eye. I'm like, what do you expect, right? It's going to get a little glossy. So anything you do can be held against you. So always try your best to be polite, respectful, have your things gathered. Do not make statements. Do not make any statements. I think that's when they get you.
Yeah, you don't need to tell them where you're coming from, where you're going. You know,
what did you have to drink if you had anything
you don't have to tell them any of that. You know, when they ask you, where are you going? Where are you coming from? How long were you there? Those are questions typically in furtherance of a DUI investigation. They're not just curious about your life story. Another thing that I've seen too, do not freshen up for the officer. What I mean by
Pop a
that
mint,
is I've
yeah.
seen people pop mints, put in a stick of gum, maybe spray a little cologne or
Right.
perfume because who knows why? You know, you're nervous, you do things. I had a client who put in just like 1 or 2 Altoids right away. They were like, "Why'd you do that? You know, have you been drinking? Why'd you put in mint?" She's like, "I just put in a mint."
Right.
I mean, they're like drug sniffing dogs. They're gonna bark at you if you do something.
Oh yeah.
Cats don't snitch on you.
No.
That's why I have cats. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today to learn about this wide, wild world of DUI indicia or indicators. Like we were talking about, just because you showed some of these doesn't mean that a good DUI defense attorney like Shahina or me over here can explain those away in court. So let us know what you think about these indicators and which ones you think are a little ridiculous. Go ahead and leave a comment down below, and we'll see you again soon.